Well, the Hezbollah offensive on Israel from the border regions of Lebanon has become more intense. Lebanon's Iran-backed Hezbollah has published a video it claims is from one of its reconnaissance drones flying over northern Israel, including the Haifa port. Reports say Hezbollah has been launching drones across the northern Israel border on a daily basis, many of them laden with explosives. This video seems to suggest a message put out to Israel that Hezbollah has an eye on Israel and access to most of its security installations. The militant group indicated that the video was only the first episode of more yet to come, highlighting that the drones bypassed Israeli air defenses and returned to Lebanese airspace without being detected. There's still no comment from the IDF. But amid the escalating cross-border clashes with Hezbollah, the Israeli army says it plans for an offensive in Lebanon that has been approved and validated. The statement comes after the Israeli foreign minister earlier warned and threatened Hezbollah that it would be destroyed in the event of a total war between the two. Even as Israel's ally, the US tries to avert any escalation in the region. Prime Minister Netanyahu is claiming that the US is withholding weapons needed for a war in Gaza. Netanyahu implied the holdup was slowing Israel's offensive in Rafah.
When Secretary Blinken was recently here in Israel, we had a candid conversation. I said it's inconceivable that in the past few months, the administration has been withholding weapons and ammunition to Israel. Israel, America's closest ally, fighting for its life, fighting against Iran and our other common enemies.
And reacting to claims by the Israeli Prime Minister, the US Secretary of State Antony Blinken said that 2,000-pound bombs are the only weapons under review. Otherwise, everything else is moving at the same pace.
We have one case that the President's talked about publicly, about the 2,000-pound bombs and concerns that we have about them being used in densely populated areas. That remains. We continue to work through that, but there's been no change in our posture, which our posture is, again, to make sure that Israel has what it needs to defend itself across these many threats.
The American forces also continue to safeguard the Red Sea trade route from the Houthi rebels. The U.S. military says over the past 24 hours, its forces have destroyed 8 drones belonging to the Yemen's rebel group. On the other hand, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is facing mounting criticism at home over his handling of the Gaza war and the hostage crisis. Protesters rallying on the streets of Jerusalem are calling for a new government and the resignation of the Prime Minister as well. Protesters also demonstrated in front of the Nalat Yitzhak cemetery in Tel Aviv, where Netanyahu was addressing the public. Ahead of his speech, shouts of "You're in charge, you're responsible" could be heard from outside the boundaries of the cemetery. And our correspondent Jody Cohen sent us more from Israel.
Right, so I'm at Hostages Square in Tel Aviv, where some American student leaders have come to express solidarity with Israel and to meet families of some of the hostages being held captive in Gaza. Now, this is coming at a time of public disagreements between the Netanyahu and Biden administrations. This is over the subject of the US withholding some ammunition from Israel, and reportedly also regarding Netanyahu's upcoming address to Congress, despite the fact that that invitation to speakers come from the Democrats as well as the Republicans. Republicans. Meanwhile, US envoy Amos Hochstein has been in Lebanon for meetings to try to attempt to prevent a war there. The Israel Defense Forces have said that they've approved military plans for an offensive against Hezbollah if diplomatic efforts fail. And commentators have suggested that northern Israel has become largely uninhabitable, with almost daily rockets fired by Hezbollah into Israel. Meanwhile, Hezbollah have released drone footage of key Israeli sites, some of which are operated by major Indian companies in an apparent threat to Israel. This is Jodie Cohen for WION World as One.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.